happy ahoy to all of you. I was about to do this video with full face of makeup and everything, but then I decided let me do this video with how the birth was, all natural. RGV was due to arrive on the 24th of December, and the first part about having your due date at the end of the month is that from the beginning of the month everyone gets anxious. Like everybody was from 1st December, even from the last week of November, everybody was constantly calling me, are you feeling anything, is anything happening, maybe you're feeling something but you don't know that you're feeling something, when is the baby coming, has the baby come yet, questions and questions and questions about when will the baby arrive. I think having a due date at the end of the month is not a good thing. Anyways, RGV was due to arrive on the 24th of December, and the 24th of December came and went. Nothing happened. Like absolutely nothing happened. I did not feel anything. I did not feel any period cramp type of a feeling that you're supposed to feel when labor is near. Nothing. I felt nothing. I felt, in fact, I was feeling way better than the rest of my pregnancy. Although my pregnancy also went pretty well. But we'll do a pregnancy story time sometimes later because that's another huge story. Anyways, so 24th December came and went, nothing happened. It was, I think 24th December last year was a Wednesday or a Thursday, I don't remember. But the following Saturday I had my, no, it was a Friday I think. It was 25th, I was meeting with my doctor on a Saturday. And we went to the doctor and doctor was like, anything? I'm like, I don't feel anything, I just feel so good. So the doctor checked me up and nothing nada, everything looked perfect, everything looked fine. Just that the baby did not look like, he was ready to come out. He or she, because we didn't know what the gender was. But for ease of things, we're going to call the baby he because, well, he is a he. Anyways, so nothing was happening and my doctor was like, fine, then we'll do one thing. If nothing else happens till Tuesday, because like I can wait till the 30th. If nothing happens till then, we'll do an induced birth. Induced birth is basically they give you injections, or I don't know if it's injections or what they give you, but they give you something so that your contractions, your body kind of creates false contractions, so that the body gets a signal, oh wait, yeah, I have to give contractions, and that the body starts giving real contractions, and that's kind of how the jazz happens. But that didn't happen for me anyways. So the doctor was like, till Tuesday, if nothing happens, we'll do an induced birth. And I got like really sad hearing that. So what the doctor suggested was, let me do a membrane sweep, which is basically like a knock on the door, telling the baby that, dude, you're supposed to come out, it's time already. So a membrane sweep, basically, just Google what membrane sweep is, okay? Even I don't remember right now, it's been a long time. It's been 10 months, almost 10 months. But anyways, just Google what membrane sweep is if you like really want to know what it is. But it's basically just kind of nudging the baby that, dude, move along, what's happening. So that happened. So my doctor did a membrane sweep and she said nothing still happens, then Tuesday we're going to induce. So while driving back from the hospital, I was with my husband and my mom-in-law, and I think my mom-in-law was also there. And I was pretty upset because from the minute I found out that I was pregnant, I kind of, not just that I wanted a natural birth, I just knew that I would have a natural birth, which was really surprising because I'm the kind of person, I'm scared of injections. Like, I am super scared of injections. That's the kind of person that I am. Well, I was, and now I don't think, I don't know if I'm scared of injections anymore. I don't know. But I was super scared of injections, and ever since I found out how people give birth and, you can also have a C-section, I always thought that I'll have a C-section. Natural birth would not even be an option for me. But the minute I found out I was pregnant, I just knew that I'd have a natural birth. Not just the fact that I wanted a natural birth, but I just knew that I have a natural birth. So when my doctor said that if nothing happens and on Tuesday we're going to induce you, I got a little upset, especially because I did not want a chemical telling my body to go into contraction. See, I wouldn't have minded having a C-section, like maybe it's an emergency, although it's really, I'm not saying that like a C-section is easy, that's even more tougher, and kudos to girls who go through C-section. It's super tough, like it's like super, one of my friends had it and it's tough. C-section is tough, but I did not know that at that point of time. At that point of time I was like, let me just go for a C-section because induced birth doesn't sound nice. So my mother-in-law was like, just relax, chill, let's go back and see what will happen. So this was Saturday afternoonish, and we come back home and I start having that period cramp volley feeling, like when your periods are just about to start, you know, that tiny little cramps that come, that I started getting that kind of feeling, and I was like, oh, what is this? Maybe is this it? Is this the beginning of my labor? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe just nothing. By then I was pretty much, I kind of pretty much gave up hope. Before that I was like, every single twitch in my body I was like, maybe it's the start of labor. But when it actually started happening, because the doctor had said we'll induce on Tuesday, I kind of just gave up hope that I'll have a natural birth, because I was like, from Saturday till Tuesday what can happen, and so much can happen. So on Saturday, when we came back in the afternoon, I started having tiny period cramps kind of a feeling, and by evening they had kind of grown. So by evening they had kind of grown, and they were kind of like full blown period cramps. Not, they weren't really bad, but there was like full blown period cramps, and I was just I was still very confused that is this it or what's happening, because because from what I know, it's supposed to be excruciating, right? From what I've seen in the movies or what I've heard, it's supposed to be really, really bad pains, and they're pains like you can't even bear the pains. They're like that bad, and that's what I had heard, and I wasn't really sure if it was labor pain that I was having. So we had dinner as usual, except that I was not really hungry. I hadn't eaten much in the afternoon either, and I wasn't really hungry at night. This is still Saturday, okay? So I wasn't. Wait, I'll go check on RGV because I think he's woken up. No, still asleep. Where was it? Yeah. So 27th evening, I have periods like pain, and they continue throughout the night. And I haven't eaten anything. I'm not hungry. And in the morning, I had a discussion with my family members, and nobody is ready to believe it's labor pain, because they were not from the back. They were like usually how your pre-period pains are, like just constrained to your tummy area, and labor pains are supposedly supposed to be from the back to the front, but it was nothing like that. It was simple normal period pains. So in the morning at 12ish, we decided still let's go to the doctor and see what the doctor says. And we go to the doctor, and the doctor says, come back when it's unbearable. And I'm like, what do you mean unbearable? She's like, come back when you cannot bear pain anymore. I'm like, dude, if you tell me to bear pain, I will bear pain, right? So we go back, and I was, I think, still 1 centimeter dilated. Was I even 1 centimeter? I have notes here so that I don't forget, but I don't think I was even 1 centimeter when we went in the morning. No, I was 1 centimeter when we went in the morning, so which is not really much, which does not really mean that you're about to give birth. So they sent me back, and the whole day I spent in pain, and it's still not unbearable. It's still like, you know, when you have like a really bad period cramp, it's exactly like that. Like there was absolutely no difference between my labor pain and between how my bad period pain is. So it was exactly like that, except it lasted like the whole entire day, and it wasn't unbearable, because period pains are not technically very unbearable. So it wasn't unbearable, so we don't know what to do. In the evening, because my in-laws have seen me in pain the whole day, they're like, let's just take another round and see. I was like, yeah, let's just go, because I don't even know what they mean by unbearable pain. Maybe this is what they mean. So we go. The pain has increased in intensity, but it still isn't like unbearable. So we go back, and uh, I'm sent back again because I'm again only 1 centimeter dilated, nothing else has happened. And the doctor on duty at that time says, see, if you want, I can admit you, but there's no point. So I go back. Then on Sunday, around, wait, I'll check my notes because, yeah. Okay, just consulting my notes here. So on Sunday in the morning, we go to the hospital. We're sent back because it's just 1 centimeter. I have bad period type cramps all day long. I don't eat anything. I don't. The weirdest thing that happened to me was I could not bear looking at a screen. So people who know me, like people who live with me, like my in-laws and my husband, know that I'm continuously always on my phone, which is kind of like my thing. I'm watching YouTube videos, and I'm doing social media, I'm doing something or the other on my phone, and maximum of that is watching YouTube videos. And I hadn't watched YouTube videos from Saturday afternoon till like Sunday night, so it was like 1.5 days, and I had not touched my phone. And that worried my husband a lot because that was like such a sudden huge change of behavior. And now I'm pacing around in pain, and it's not unbearable again, but it's still painful. So I'm just pacing around, and my husband is shoving my phone in my face and saying, "The YouTube video, why don't you watch YouTube video?" And I'm like, "What is wrong with you?" He's actually really worried because one other thing that happened was I completely stopped talking to anybody. I think I was on my own. I tried kind of reserving my energy, and I was just concentrating on myself, my body, and my baby. And I wasn't aware in the sense that I was aware of my surroundings, but I just did not want to spend my energy on my surroundings. So I was not talking to anybody. I was not eating anything, and I was just pacing around and just trying to get in tone with my body, if that makes sense. Not that I did all of this deliberately, or that I did all of this because I read it somewhere, or because was the thing to do, but it just happened naturally that this happened. So that was Sunday, and then we slept, and 28th morning, Monday morning at 4 a.m. My pain starts to get a little more intense. It still wasn't unbearable, but it starts to get a little more intense, and everybody was sleeping at the time, and I did not want to wake everyone up. So I was just pacing around the house. So what happened was, my contractions were like 5 minutes apart, and now this is also, but because of the pain, I hadn't slept Saturday night either. I hadn't slept all day, and I was like also really, in my mind I knew that if these are labor pains, then I need to sleep because I need to reserve my energy, because I'll soon have like a newborn baby in my hand, and I need to protect him and help him out. After giving birth, I won't get to sleep. I have to like do other things. I'll be a mom then. Moms don't sleep. Anyways, that's a discussion for another time. So my contractions were like 5 minutes apart, which is weird because they say if your contractions are 5 minutes apart, you should go to the hospital, but then there are other technicalities involved. So the point was, I still had not gotten any contractions from the back except one. So it's the whole thing that they say that your contractions should be from your back to the front. It is not like that for everyone. And I was so pissed because nobody was ready to believe me that these are real labor pains just because they were not coming from the back. And I was like, oh my god. I did have like one contraction that came from the back and went to the front, but that's it. Out of all the contractions I had from Saturday afternoon till Monday afternoon, for 48 hours I was in labor, I just had one contraction like that. So it's not true for everyone that your contractions will be from the back. My contractions were all limited to my tummy area, like where your period cramps are. That's kind of where my cramps were limited to. We're going off topic. What was I telling you? Yeah. So around 4 a.m. what was happening on Monday morning, what was happening was, I was getting contractions 5 minutes apart. So I would sleep for 5 minutes, and then suddenly my pain would start. So what did happen was, there was like a kind of a wave. So it will start, it will peak, and then it will go down. So that's the kind of contraction I was having. So once the contractions started, I would wake up and I would start walking. Uh, my cousin also told me that walking helped, and I kind of discovered through all of this pain that walking was helping me. So once my periods would start, I would immediately jump out of bed. I literally jumped out of bed, and big heavy pregnant lady jumping out of bed, imagine that. So however you can describe that jumping out of bed, I did. And then I walked, and when it was at a peak, then I discovered that holding something and kind of bending down, that helped me with the pain. Still wasn't unbearable though. So I did that, and then I'll go down, and when it was going down, I'll go lie down again and I'll sleep. What I did notice was that if I kept sitting or sleeping through the pain was, I guess, unbearable. You can say the reason I was able to bear the pain was because I kind of figured out the technique that helped me bear it. If I had kept lying down and if I had kept sitting at a place, I'm pretty sure it would have been unbearable. But this whole process of me sleeping for 5 minutes, getting up the minute my pain starts, walking, and then holding on to something. I remember holding on to my door, holding on to my bathroom door, and just bending down till the pain passes, and then going back to sleep. This whole process helped me a lot, and this whole process made the pain bearable for me. And this conclusion I think I have reached now. I did not realize that is why my pain wasn't unbearable before. When making this video, right at this exact moment, I realized why my pain was bearable. So anyways, now that we have discovered why my labor was not that much painful, actually, if I think of it, that is why it was not unbearable. I am brilliant. So anyways, this was at 4 a.m. when I was doing this. At 6 a.m. my mother-in-law and father, from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. I was kind of walking and everything inside my room. It was still dark, and I did not have the heart to wake up my husband, because at that point of time I knew that these are actual real labor pains. Even if everybody is telling me they're not, I knew these are labor pains. I knew that my baby will probably come today, and anyways the doctor had said she'll induce me on Tuesday. So even if I did get admitted on Monday and they weren't really labor pains, my doctor could have just simply induced me a day before, right? So I just knew that it will be a very hectic day for my husband, so I did not want to wake him up, and I deliberately did not wake him up. I made sure I did not make any noise so he gets sleep. The main reason I did not want to wake him up, the main reason I wanted him to sleep, was because I knew that once I give birth, I'm going to get rest. Like, even if I have a newborn baby to handle, everybody will be there caring for me, but nobody will be really caring for my husband. Like, they'll be still caring for my husband, but there'll be nobody to make sure that he gets enough rest, or that like he is well taken care of. Although our family is wonderful and I'm sure everybody would have taken care of him, but in my mind I was like, just let him get rest right now, because after I give birth, the baby and me will become a priority. And I just did okay. I just did not wake him up. I don't want to talk about this. It's embarrassing. Anyway, so at 6 a.m. I went out of my room and I went down to my main hall, which is the one with the black sofas. If you've seen my other vlogs, you would know which room that is. And I was walking there, and my mother-in-law and father-in-law saw that there is a light open, and they come out and they're like, what happened? Are you in a lot of pain? What's going on? And I was like, yeah, I think the pain is reaching a point where it's unbearable, but it's not still unbearable. I can still bear this. It's okay. We don't need to go to the hospital right now. So my mother-in-law was like, are you sure? We can go to the hospital if you want. And I know, you go back to sleep. We'll go in the morning. Just get a few more hours sleep. We'll go in the morning. And she's like, you can ask the doctor. So I call up my doctor, and my doctor says, see, if it's unbearable, then you can come to the hospital. I'm like, stop saying unbearable, because this pain is not unbearable, and if you tell me to bear it, I will bear it. So I hate the word unbearable, okay? So I decide, like, my doctor's like, you can go to the hospital if you want. There's a doctor on duty if you find the pain is unbearable. But I decided against it. I'm like, nah, it's better if I go to the hospital when my doctor is in the hospital, and I would rather want that my doctor is also well rested when she reaches the hospital. So if she's sleeping, let her sleep. So that's what I did. I let everyone else sleep, and I walked around the whole house bearing pain. Yeah. So was just checking my notes because I don't want to forget anything. So by 9ish, everybody's kind of ready, and they're like, what do you want to do? Do you want to have breakfast and go, or do you just want to go like that? I'm like, no, just you guys have breakfast. And it was 10 a.m. at that point of time, and I do remember that the pain was a little bit, edging towards unbearable at that point of time. Still bearable, but a little bit. It was getting on the edge where it would have just gone from bearable to unbearable. So, but I was like, let them all have breakfast. Let them all have breakfast because it's going to be a very long day, and you don't even know if you'll get good hospital food, and you don't even know if they'll have time to eat. So let them just have breakfast because breakfast is the most important meal of your day. I can't believe I was thinking so much during. Now, if I reflect back to what happened, there are a lot of things going on. So everybody has breakfast, and then me, my husband, and my mother-in-law, we leave for the hospital. And I call up my mom, and I'm telling them I'm leaving for the hospital. And I tell her, please don't. My mom was like, the minute you leave for the hospital, tell me because we'll all come. And I'm like, I told her don't come immediately because you don't even know. Maybe the hospital just send me back. And I remember for the first time in my entire pregnancy asking my mom-in-law that, are C-sections really painful? So, because that was the first time in all 9 months, that was the first time I got a little bit afraid of having a normal natural birth. And my mother-in-law is like, no, don't worry, normal birth is also good, don't worry, nothing will happen and everything will be fine. So we go to the hospital, and for the oddest reasons, I was thinking that maybe they'll send me back again. Maybe they'll be like, no, you're not, this is not labor, just go back home and relax. And we reached to the hospital, and they check me, and we find out that I'm 3 to 4 centimeter dilated, which basically means I can get admitted in the hospital. And my doctor comes over. No, I think my doctor wasn't there at that point. She came later. So the doctor on duty checks me and everything, and she calls up my doctor, and my doctor's like, yes, very good, I'm glad that you walked and everything because that helped. So I was like, thank God. The reason I was walking wasn't to hurry up labor, but the reason I was walking so that my pain becomes bearable. But that helped. Basically, walking a lot helped. So while my doctor wasn't available, there was another doctor on call at the hospital at the moment, and I gave birth at Sitaram Bhartiya, which I highly, highly, highly recommend. If you're pregnant and if you're in Delhi and if you're anywhere near Sitaram Bhartiya, please choose that as your hospital of choice. It's a very good hospital, except one doctor, which was the doctor on call at the time where I was in labor. Every single doctor is brilliant. My doctor was Dr. Swati Sinha, which I highly recommend again. Brilliant doctor, highly encourages natural birth. I was overweight through my entire I'm overweight right now, and I was overweight through my entire pregnancy. If a doctor would have told me, Roli, you're overweight and we need to do C-section, I would not have questioned that doctor because that was the most obvious thing. But not once did she mention C-section. Not once did she say that, Roli, you might need a C-section. So, she's brilliant. Anyways, again, pregnancy story, entirely different story. I have a lot of pregnancy stories. So if you want me to do a pregnancy story video as well, give this video a thumbs up. So back to the morning of 28th. So they're like, you can get admitted. I'm like, what? So I get admitted, and I'm still having my contractions, and while I was at home, I was easily able to have my contraction. I was able to get up, walk, and sit back down. But in the hospital, they kind of made me lie down on the bed, and I was attached to machines and everything. And I was getting a little irritated because I wanted to get up and walk, and they were like, Roli, you need to lie down. And lying down, the contractions did hurt. Again, not to an extent that they were like unbearable, not to the extent that they show on TV shows and movies. Maybe I was just lucky, touch wood, but they weren't unbearable even then. But yes, they were painful while I was lying down, and I kept telling them, please just let me move, but the doctor on duty won't. And she started medicine, I don't know which one, but she started one to kind of quicken things up, and I was a little disappointed with that because I wanted like an all natural thing. So what happened was, when she started that medicine, Aravi's heartbeat slowed down, and that kind of created like a bit of a panic among everybody because the baby's heartbeat was going down, and nobody kind of connected both the things together that it might be happening because of that medicine. And fortunately, there was a nurse that made this connection, and she stopped the medicine, and his heartbeat was normal. Now, when the nurse stopped the medicine, the doctor on call was not around. She comes back and she screams at the nurse, "Why did you stop the medicine?" You know, maybe I don't know why she wanted to start the medicine in the first case. Maybe she wanted the delivery done. I don't know why. But she screams at the nurse that, "Why did you stop the medicine?" And she starts the medicine again. Again, Aravi's heartbeat drops and this and that, and the nurse is trying to argue with the doctor, and she's not. I apologize if there's any change in color settings or anything. My camera has gone mad. So anyways, what was I telling you? Yeah, so the nurse argues with the doctor on call, and the doctor on call is kind of like, no, you have to put on the medicine and this and that, and the doctor on call goes away, and the nurse decides, I'm going to stop this medicine and it's going to be on me. And I'm like, okay, whatever you wish. And she stops the medicine, and the RGV's heartbeat is all back to normal, and everything is fine. When his heartbeat was going down, there were talks of there might be a need for an emergency C-section, and that freaked me out because not really freaked me out. There was part of me that I was like, okay, thank God, let me have this C-section. But there was part of me that was like, but I want a normal birth, so I was kind of confused. But that's a good thing or a bad thing that I'll have a C-section. Thankfully I didn't. Anyway, so the nurse decides to stop the medicine, and the doctor on call doesn't know at that moment, and I really wanted to walk. So what happens is, if I lie down too much straight on my back, my lower back starts hurting really badly. So I really wanted to walk, and I really wanted to get up from my bed. And the doctor on call, when the nurse goes to tell her, and when she comes to see me, I tell the doctor that I want to walk, and she screams at me, and she's like, your child is, his heartbeat's going low, and all you can think about is yourself. You're about to give birth, you should start thinking about your baby. And I want to slap her at that time, because I'm like, dude, if I am not okay, how will I take care of my child, right? Thankfully, my doctor walks in, like my gynecologist, Dr. Swati Sinha, she walks in, and the nurse tells her everything, and the first thing she says is, good, please don't start that medicine again, there's no need. And then she says, if she wants to walk, let her walk, let her do some squats if she wants. And this light is really irritating me. I'm sorry, but I just feel like we had better lighting to begin with, and this lighting, I don't know if I like it. I'm sorry. So the nurse helps me get up, and we do some squats, and I think the squats helped a lot, because the minute I do 2 or 3 squats, I have a feeling that I want to push, and my pain is still not unbearable. I mean, it's a little towards the high side. It's like, if it gets worse than this, then it will be unbearable. It was at like that much. So I even remember I asked the nurse that, when do people take epidural? Like, does it get worse than this? Because it was at a point which was just bearable enough for me. Like, anything more than that would have definitely been unbearable. So that's why I kind of asked my nurse that, does it get like worse than this? Do people get like epidural if it gets worse than this? And she's like, yeah, we bought time and don't worry, you won't need one and this and that. So back to the squats. So this conversation happened before the squats. So I do squatting and then I get a feeling that I want to push. And the doctors had told me, we had like a workshop, that don't push just because you feel like pushing, only when like we tell you, only then push. So I told my nurse that I'm getting a feeling to push, and my nurse is like, fine, push. I'm like, do you want to talk to the doctor first? She's like, no, it's okay, you push. I'm like, okay. So I bear down, I squat and I push. So pushing for a baby is like pushing for when you have constipation. Which is like the yuckiest thing you can think of, but that's like the exact same feeling. I was worried that how will I know that, like, when I get the feeling of push, how will I know, that I have to push from a specific hole? But it's like exactly the same feeling of pushing like you have constipation. So I pushed and like I don't know if I could like feel the baby in the birth canal or something, but I just had this feeling that I wanted to push. Like I had a feeling that this something bearing down and I want to push it out. So I was just pushing, and we did a few squats, and then my nurse is like, now you just go back on the bed and you push whenever you feel like pushing. So then I gave a few more pushes, and I'm like really worried at that point of time, because in the room at that point of time is only me and one more nurse. So before that, before the whole pushing thing happened, my mother-in-law or my mom were in the room with me, but they were like kind of gone out. The hospital did allow my husband to be in the room with me. I asked my nurse, can my husband be in the room? She's like, if you want to, but then in the end I kind of decided I just want this to be just be me. Simply because the kind of person that I am, I would be like, while pushing the baby, I would be way more worried about my reactions, simply because I would have like another person there. So I would not give like true reactions, or I would not scream if I wanted to, just because somebody who's close to my heart is next to me and I wouldn't want to scare them. So I decided that I want to do this alone, because at that point of time all I wanted was to concentrate on myself and on my child. I don't want a third person, and I don't want to be concerned about a third person at that moment. So where were we? Yeah, so I get back on the bed and I'm pushing, and it's just me and the nurse in the room, that's it. And I'm like, these are my final pushes, and I'm like, why is she not calling my doctor? And although I trusted the nurse, because she took the decision of stopping the medicine, and I knew that whatever she wanted was the best for me, and I was still getting really, really worried that she's still a nurse. Why is my doctor not there? So later I found out that my doctor was around. She was like right outside my door. She just, for the oddest reasons, didn't come in. I don't know why. Maybe that's the procedure or whatever. So once I kind of start feeling like we're almost there, the nurse kind of tells me, I can see the head. I'm like, what? I'm like, I'm like, what? You can see the head? She's like, yeah, I can see the head. Just a few more pushes and we are there. And the first thing that I say to her is like, does the baby have hair? And she's like, yeah, I can see hair. I'm like, oh my god, the baby has hair. Side note, I don't like bald babies at all. Like, no offense to anybody's child, but I don't like bald babies, which is probably why I hated it when Adaveer had his mundan. But anyways, back to the story. So once I asked her, can you see the baby? Does the baby have hair? She says yes. And then I'm like really panicking inside, because I'm like, call the doctor. Why is my doctor not hair? But I don't want to show it on my face, because I just want to, I don't know why I didn't create a scene that why is my doctor not here. But I just knew that I was in safe hands, basically, because the hospital is really good, the nursing staff is really good, and all my family was out there. Like, so when we reached the hospital, my mom and my dad also reached the hospital around the same time, or within like a 5-minute difference. So I had like 10 family members out there. So I knew nothing would like go wrong. Nothing can literally go wrong. I have everybody who cares for me in this hospital right now. My like Nana Nani had also come over. So I had like every single person who cares for me more than they care for themselves. So I had all of those people at the hospital at that time. So I knew nothing would go wrong, and I had an amazing doctor. So I knew she would make sure that nothing would go wrong. I had a nurse who already had fighted for me, so I knew nothing would go wrong. But I was still kind of panicking that, dude, it's just me and a nurse in the room. I need a doctor. So then next what happens is suddenly these 4-5 people, my doctor, another doctor, 2 or 3 more nurses come in, and they're like 4-5 people in the room, and I'm like, oh god, what's happening? And then like earlier I was lying down in a normal bed, but then that bed kind of gets converted into birthing bed. I don't know if you've seen in movies how the legs are spread apart and yada yada, it becomes a bed like that, and I'm strapped in, and I'm like, what? Are you serious? Is this really happening? Because I don't know why, even then I did not know, like I knew I was giving birth, but I just did not know it will just happen so quickly. So this is around 2:33 in the afternoon on Monday. I got admitted around 12:31ish. So within 2-3 hours, this is happening, and I'm like, what is happening? I'm kind of freaking out in a way that why is everybody hurrying this up? I did not realize that RGV was hurrying this up. He just wanted to get out. So then I am pushing whenever I'm asked to push, and I'm asked to push. Like I'm like, just the nurse and the doctors tell me, just put everything in your pushes. The more I knew that the harder I push, the easier it will be for me. So I put my everything in those pushes. Okay, they were like hard. Like when I pushed my hands back on the bed as well, and I remember later on my hands really hurt because I was just giving it everything that I had. So those final pushes were like full on. Whatever strength I had pushes, and after 4 or 5 of them, I'm pretty sure I was screaming. I don't remember, but I think the people standing outside the door, my mom, my mother-in-law, and my husband did say they had heard me screaming, I think. But it was not like a pain, a scream of pain. It was more a scream of, when you put your energy into something, then you need, when you put your complete strength into something, a natural voice comes out. It was that scream, not a scream of pain. And at that point of time, I wasn't feeling pain at all because I was just so much concentrating on pushing. Like every single cell in my body was concentrating on pushing. I did not even think that I was in pain. Honestly, I don't think I was even in pain at that point of time because I wasn't even thinking about pain. I was just thinking about pushing. So I do those hard wali pushes like 4-5 times hardly, and like my eyes are scrunched up, okay, when I'm pushing, and the 4th or the 5th push later I open them, and my doctor has she has RGV by his feet, and then she puts RGV immediately on me, and I can't believe that happened. Like honestly, when I opened my eyes, okay, this is something I've told everybody that I could not believe that I've given birth, but what I've not told anybody is, if my family is watching, hi, what I've not told everybody is that when I opened my eyes, okay, all of this happened like within seconds. I opened my eyes, I see my doctor holding RGV up by his feet, and I think it was by his feet, I'm not sure, because instead of looking at the child, I look left, I look right, and this is right, this is left only. I look right, I look left, and I look that side because I'm like, where did this baby come from? That was kind of like I think one of my first thoughts. I think that was my first thought after giving birth. Where did this baby come from? Because I did not believe that. Okay, when he came out, he was pretty long, and I could not believe that such a long and huge thing basically put a fit inside me. Nor could I believe that this happened so quickly. Why did I not feel the pain? There's a thing called ring of fire, which happens when you're like when you're just about to give birth, which is basically a very burning sensation that happens down there. And I've heard that that's like the worst part of pushing. But for me, that happened for like just 1 second, and so I really wasn't convinced that I gave birth. So when I looked right and left, I was actually checking that is there a possibility that a nurse quickly came from, there was a bathroom on one side and like the main door on the other side, so I knew my family members were on the other side, so it couldn't have happened from there. But for a second I thought maybe a nurse came from a back door in the bathroom and handed this baby over to my doctor, because this sounds so stupid and silly, but that's what I thought. I thought maybe a nurse had come and just handed a baby to the doctor, and this wasn't really the baby that was inside me. I don't know. I think I just could not wrap my head around this, that I had given birth, which is like so stupid. But that is really what I thought. And then the doctor puts the baby on me immediately. So all of this whole thinking happened like within seconds. So because the doctor immediately puts RGV on my tummy, and we do skin to skin, and we had also opted, like not even opted, like the hospital itself does delayed cord clamping. So RGV was on me. He was sticky and he was smelly and he was crying. And I just could not believe that this is my baby. I could not believe that this is my child. I even remember I asked the doctor, "Ye mera hai na?" Like, is this mine? This is mine, right? So when the doctor puts RGV on me, I say hi to RGV, and he's crying, and then he suddenly stops crying and he opens his eyes for the first time ever, and he sees me, which I think is like so, like the first person he ever saw was me.